Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where you can ask your NZ travel questions to the experts behind nzpocketguide.com, New Zealand's largest travel guide. The NZ Travel Show will start in exactly 2 minutes. Just the time for you to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and subscribe if you have not done so yet. nzpocketguide.com has over 3,000 articles covering all aspects of travelling in New Zealand, from a working holiday gap year to tips for a perfect family holiday. The site also features dozens of pre-made itineraries that you can use to plan your ideal trip in New Zealand. It's all available for free at nzpocketguide.com, so check it out. The NZ Travel Show is hosted by Robin, the Operations Manager of South Pacific Pocket Guide, the company behind nzpocketguide.com. The New Zealand Travel Show is also hosted by Laura, a journalist and editor-in-chief of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all its publications, including nzpocketguide.com. We're exactly 1 minute away from the NZ Travel Show. Get yourself comfortable and start asking your NZ travel questions in the chat. Robin and Laura will go over them when the show starts. In 30 seconds, our experts will be live from New Zealand to give you all the practical New Zealand travel tips you need, from the best transport options to the best accommodations and activities to choose for the perfect New Zealand holiday. Live from New Zealand, this is the NZ Travel Show with your travel experts, Robin and Laura.
Good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, the 17th of March, 2024. It is 8 a.m. right here in New Zealand, and this is the NZ Travel Show. Very quick recap on how it works. It's very simple. We have a theme this week, but it doesn't matter. You can ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand because we kind of are the experts of traveling around New Zealand. My name is Robin, this is Laura, and we are the team behind NZ Pocket Guide, which is New Zealand's largest travel guide. You can find it for free at nzpocketguide.com, but because you don't want to read too much text, because you don't want to do too much search, because you're a little bit lazy of a travel planner, you can just ask us your questions and we'll give you the answers right here in this live show. It lasts for about an hour every single week, so if you missed this one live, you can put your questions and we can go over it next week. Oh, if you make it live, well, just chat with us like Ross is doing right now. What is Ross saying?
So Ross is here saying, I finally made it to New Zealand.
Whoop, whoop.
Ross from Niagara Falls on a cruise ship, the Celebrity Edge, going into Napier this morning.
Nice.
Woo, welcome to New Zealand.
There's a lot to do in Napier, but I know you're going to be going to drink some wine. I mean, that's the thing. That's the one thing everybody on the cruise arriving in Napier ends up doing.
Yes, there's plenty of wine tours to choose from. But otherwise, in the town itself, you can check out, there's a nice museum there. You can check out some beautiful Art Deco architecture. Or just go for a nice stroll along the Marine Parade, where you've got a nice pebbly beach to the side. You've got lots of nice little gardens and mini golf and all that good stuff, water fountains. So just the area the area itself is quite pretty.
All right, so yeah, make sure that you ask all your questions in the comments, and in the meantime, we'll introduce our theme of the week. And so as per usual now, our theme of the week comes with a little bit of a video. So today is a little bit of a stretch. So as we are going to be watching ourselves navigating the bogs, the swamps and the beautifulness of Stewart Island, which is one of New Zealand's dark sky reserve, we're going to be talking about the dark sky reserves in New Zealand and give you a bit of a complete guide about it. But first up, why should you care about dark sky reserves in New Zealand? Well, the main thing that you need to know about dark sky reserves is that they make for exceptional stargazings. dark skies are usually found in places with less light pollution. So an area of an international dark sky reserve will restrict the amount of artificial light pollution that can be emitted during night, making for fantastic stargazing experiences. So that's why you should care, and that's why you should keep watching. In this video, we're going to go over all the different dark sky reserves that New Zealand has. We're going to go over each of them one by one. We're going to tell you what makes them exceptional, and we're also going to go over a lot of tips for experiencing better night skies in dark sky reserve and some frequently asked questions. Whew, that was a big intro.
What an intro.
I know, what an intro.
Wow.
But I put some people to sleep right
I'm
here.
excited.
All right, so should we begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's begin with a quick list of the dark sky reserves in New Zealand.
Yeah, and it may be a surprise to quite a few of you that there's actually a lot more than you think. It's not just the most famous one, which I'll start off with, which is the Aoraki Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve.
So, quick fact about it, it is located in Canterbury, which is in the South Island of New Zealand. It was established in 2012. It has an area of 4,367 square kilometers, which is about 1,700 square miles.
Yeah, and it also used to be the biggest dark sky reserve in the world until recently, but we don't talk about that. There's another one now that's bigger. And next up on the list is the Aotea Great Barrier Island Dark Sky Sanctuary.
So this one is great because it's located on the North Island in the Auckland region. It was established in 2017. It has a smaller area of 285 square kilometers, which is 112 square mile. I'm gonna keep going with this mistake.
And next up is Stewart Island / Rakiura Dark Sky Sanctuary.
So this is where we are right now on the video, and it is located in Southland, so basically on the south of the South Island of New Zealand. It was established in 2019, and it has a huge area of 1,746 square kilometers, which is 674 square miles.
Next up is the Waihiti Dark Sky Park.
So this dark sky park is located in Nelson, Tasman. It is on the South Island of New Zealand and was established in 2020. It has an area of 1.35 square kilometers. It's very small. It's half a square mile.
And finally, we have the Wairarapa Dark Sky Reserve.
So the Wairarapa Dark Sky Reserve is located on the North Island, basically just a little north of Wellington. It was established in 2023. It's our newest one, and it has an area of 3,665 square kilometers, which is 1,415 square miles. Okay, so next up, we're going to give you a quick definition of what are dark sky reserves, what's the association, all this kind of thing. And we're also differentiating a little bit between dark sky reserves, sanctuaries, and parks. And we'll do that right now, since the live chat is as quiet as it's ever been. Everybody's sleeping.
Yeah.
It's dark sky day. Everybody's sleeping. It's night. That's the problem with dark skies. You have to actually stay awake.
I know. That's the downside of stargazing. Is like, oh, I have to stay awake in the cold, looking at these stars all night. Oh.
Doesn't have to be cold, though.
Oh, it's usually cold at night.
Yeah.
When you're stood still. Stargazing.
Yeah, that's true. In the outdoors, in the wind. Yeah,
in
actually,
New Zealand, up high. Best time for stargazing is in winter, because
your point has been taken.
Yeah, it's usually a cold affair.
All right. So next up, let's talk about what is the International Dark Sky Association, Laura.
So, the International Dark Sky Association is a non-profit organisation that was established in 1988, and their aim is to, I shall read a quote here because it's better to come from the people themselves, saying to preserve and protect the nighttime environment and our heritage of dark skies through quality outdoor lighting. So, yeah, generally when they are choosing their dark sky reserves or sanctuaries, and people, usually there's an application process for a region,
which can be quite long.
Yes, that can be quite long, and and usually when the region is doing the application process, they have to prove that they are doing, they're putting sort of initiatives in order where they are preserving the night sky, they are making sure that they are using lighting that's not going to obscure night views too much, all that sort of thing. So yeah, it's generally given to places where there is procedures in place to protect the quality of the dark skies.
Yeah, it's all about strong regulations.
Yes.
So there are different nomenclatures that we keep on talking about. So we talk about dark sky reserve, dark sky sanctuaries, and dark sky park. So what's the difference?
Okay, so just for context, there are more than 200 dark sky preserves, reserves, parks, and sanctuaries all around the world. And yeah, as you've noticed, they are different names for different ones. So yeah, the reserve is given to an area that has a dark core zone. So it's a place where in an area where it has a dark place in the area, but then it may be surrounded by populated outer areas. So the policies are more in place for the people living there, and what pollution they may be causing, light pollution that is, and yeah, then the controls in place surrounding that.
So in New Zealand we have the Aoraki Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve and the Wairarapa Dark Sky Reserve.
Yes.
All
right, next up we have the Stewart Island and Great Barrier Island, which
which is where we are right now.
See the video, making the video relevant. And their dark sky areas are known as dark sky sanctuaries, and that's because those islands, naturally being an isolated island, do already have the sort of they're away from big populations, so they're sort of naturally a good place for stargazing, and they sort of have less threats to them in terms of causing light pollution. So, but it's more they're given the sanctuary status because at least in those areas they have they are promoting sort of long-term conservation of dark skies and sort of increasing awareness of the fragility of the area and potential threats to the dark skies.
So again, those ones are Stewart Island and Great Barrier Island in New Zealand.
Yes, and then finally we have a dark sky park. So this is, well, as the name sort of suggests, it's usually a very small area. It might be a publicly owned conservation area that just has some good outdoor lighting policies and promotes dark sky programs. So yeah, it tends to be a smaller area.
Indeed. All right. So next up, we're going to be talking about each of those areas one by one. Is there anyone in the live chat right now?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
but,
not.
But guys, you can ask us any questions to do with traveling in New Zealand. It doesn't have to be about the topic that we are currently talking about. So yeah, feel free if you've got any burning questions or even not so burning questions about traveling in New Zealand, then feel free to reach out on the live chat.
Well, we'll take burning questions because it's getting cold in New Zealand right now. So New Zealand
is.
being in the southern hemisphere, our seasons are the opposite of what you guys may be used to in the northern hemisphere. So therefore, at the moment, we are slowly making our way toward the colder month. And, that's those kind of times when you kind of wake up and you really don't want to get out of bed.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's continue talking about the different dark sky reserves, and let's start with the largest one and the oldest one, which is the Aoraki Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve. So Laura, tell us more about this area and what there is to do there.
Yeah, so the Aoraki Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve is the first established dark sky reserve in New Zealand, and it's the one that most of you will have heard of.
Of course.
Been a lot of really good marketing in terms of its stargazing there.
So the reason why you may have heard about it is because that's the area that will encompass Lake Tekapo, Twizel, the Mount Cook National Park, Mount Cook itself, and all of those areas.
Yeah, it was also one of the first places in the southern hemisphere to be established as a dark sky reserve as well. So, and also the reason it was also considered a dark sky reserve is due to its cultural connection to the sky. That was part of their sort of, the reason they were granted to be a dark sky reserve, because the early Maori living here that were originally Polynesian travelers traveling across the South Pacific, they were using the stars for navigation, and with that their sort of legends and myths do surround a lot about the sky and the stars. So it also has cultural significance to the area as well. So yeah, that's also part of the reason it's sort of considered a dark sky reserve.
Yeah, and it's one of the area with the strictest kind of regulations in New Zealand when it comes down to dark skies, because they had regulation in place since 1981. So it has no legacy kind of bad lighting around, so that's why it's so popular.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, let's talk about the Aotea Great Barrier Island Dark Sky Sanctuary.
Yeah, so this is an entire island that is considered a dark sky sanctuary. As I was mentioning before, being an island that's isolated, it naturally has really good dark skies, and the population is quite small on Great Barrier as well, only around 1,000 residents. So, and they have they benefit from having really dark skies, low light pollution with such a small population, and also about 60% of the land on the island is managed by the Department of Conservation. So there's sort of a natural sort of synergy there where the Department of Conservation want to preserve a lot of the areas there. Less development generally means less light pollution and better skies.
And so, yes, it's located in the Auckland region, as we say, but it's about 100 kilometers, which is 62 miles northeast of Auckland City. So, therefore, it's not really hampered by the light emitted by Auckland City itself.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have Stewart Island, which is the Raikura Dark Sky Sanctuary, which is where we are right now on the boat.
Yeah, so again, this is another island that's nice and isolated, away from a lot of light pollution. There's only one main town on the island called Oban, and that's where, if you are taking the ferry there, that's where you would arrive. But 80% of the land on Stewart Island is again managed or protected by the Department of Conservation. It's known as the Raikura National Park, and that's actually in the video where we are right now. We are taking a boat through the area. So yeah, with that means that there's clear protections in place from the Department of Conservation, being a national park, to not produce any more light pollution than necessary.
And as we mentioned, Stewart Island is an island south of the South Island of New Zealand, but it's really not too far. It's only about 30 kilometers, which is about 19 miles out of the South Island of New Zealand. So it's a relatively short ferry ride that you can take from beautiful Bluff. All right, next up on the list we have the Waiheke Dark Sky Park. So tell us about that tiny little park.
Yeah, so this is a park which is just in the Waiheke Recreational Reserve, which is located in the Nelson Tasman region, just south of the town of Wakefield. But most people will probably know the city of Nelson nearby, so just sort of imagine that area at the top of the South Island, and it's a little park up in that direction. So this is obviously a lot smaller sort of organisation there. Making it a dark sky park. They do have local community groups that will sort of do events at the park and sort of raise awareness about dark sky reserves, host sort of astronomy events there, star parties, which sounds awesome, and yeah, basically they sort of, it's more of an educational sort of the reason why they are a dark sky park is so that they sort of like, they prove their sort of, you know, they're raising awareness about light pollution and that sort of thing. So yeah, but I mean, that's not to say that the area itself is not amazing for stargazing, because it certainly is.
From the smallest dark sky area on the South Island, let's talk about the largest dark sky area on the North Island,
yes,
which is the Wairarapa Dark Sky Reserve.
Yeah, so this one is the newest dark sky reserve in New Zealand, and it's on the North Island.
Second largest after the Aoraki.
Yes.
Mount Cook.
And again, it works very similar to the way that the Aoraki Dark Sky Reserve is working. Sort of the local councils and districts, they have like sort of outdoor lighting policies in place where they use sort of lower lighting. Their street lighting needs to be more compliant, with what the Dark Sky Reserve organization is looking for. So they sort of tick the boxes there, and they have been known for quite a few years for having amazing stargazing there anyway. There are a few stargazing tours in the area, so yeah, they've just sort of made it official recently to become a dark sky reserve.
Indeed. All right, next up we're going to talk about how to experience a dark sky reserve in New Zealand. But first, let's say hi to Michael.
Yeah, Michael Stewart is here saying, okay, I'm here, in capitals. I hope I'm not too late. I've been wanting to go to Stewart Island. Seems like a chill place. It really is, definitely. That is a good definition.
There is one
for it.
cinema over there that only shows a movie about the one dog. It's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, it is a pretty beautiful,
I think chill is the
relaxing
best way to
place.
describe it. Chill is really a good way to
Yeah.
talk about it. But yeah, speaking of Stuart Island, so let's as we're getting rained on right now. So what's going on right here on the video? So yes, we are taking the water taxi in Stuart Island, coming back from a hike in the beautiful Rakura National Park. Because well, there is a lot of walks there, and there is a lot of like very long multi-day walks. Which is one of the ones that we've done. We went to Mason Hut, for example. And so if you feel like you want to shorten some of those multi-day experience, you're more than welcome to kind of hike for days and weeks in there. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Because there are huts. I don't know, you book yourself and you pack all your gears, you're good. But if you want to shorten up, there are water taxi services that can kind of pick you up from selected points. You've obviously got to book that in advance because they need to know to come and pick you up.
Yep.
But it's pretty cool, and you get to see like a lot of the. Well, it's not really. Is it like subantarctic mangrove? Is that how it's called? This kind of landscape that we were just looking at?
Well, I'm not really. You're
It's
definitely.
kind of like mangrove, right?
It is,
And
it
it's
is.
subantarctic island.
Yeah, and Stewart Island is technically classed as a subantarctic
Yeah.
island, so I mean, it could well be. It's very different sort of vegetation to what you might see elsewhere in New Zealand. It's very low, like the vegetation's quite low, so you're not in like towering forests.
And you got really like a lot of like horizon views, right? So it makes, I think that's what also makes it for really fantastic nights experiences as well.
Yes.
You can always see the entirety of the sky from left to right, right,
Exactly.
rather than seeing through the trees.
Not only
Really awesome.
not only is it like dark skies, and obviously when the clouds aren't there, but you don't have any other.
I mean, you guys can guess why we're taking the water taxi right now. It wouldn't make for the next couple of few good days of
Yeah.
hiking right here.
But some of my best stargazing photos have come from staying at the Mason Hut
Yes.
on Stewart Island. It was just naturally so perfect. So yeah, it was beautiful over there.
And there is sand dune nearby, so you can kind of walk, let's say, about like 5-10 minutes at most away from the hut, and you don't even have the light of the hut if other people are in the hut.
Yeah.
Not that the hut is emitting a lot of light. You know, first up, it's really orange light, so it's not too
it's quite
disturbing.
low
Yeah,
light.
it's quite low. Like none of the dog huts are really like super well lit with like a big massive LED. Most of them are, you know, kind of like
Yeah,
dimmed light.
a lot of them are sort of solar powered lighting, and they'll only have like the kitchen area that has a light, so it's not like all the bunk rooms that they have typically don't have light. So yeah, it's just where necessary, and it's kind of good that way.
Okay, so we'll continue covering our theme of the day and talk about the Starry Night of New Zealand. And let's go over a simple question, Laura. How can you experience dark sky reserves in New Zealand?
You can go stargazing.
Indeed.
Obviously, yes. So, obviously to experience a dark sky reserve, you can do it sort of independently, but there are tours that can also enhance the experience as well, which we'll move on to a little bit later. But if you want to do it yourself and just sort of just enjoy the beauty of the stars, even if you're not, you're not really up on the constellations or anything like that, you can just enjoy the beauty. Then usually just sort of driving out of a nearby town, such as towns near dark sky reserves include Twizel, Mount Cook Village, Lake Tekapo, Oban, Martinborough, Greytown and Carterton. So if you're staying in one of those places, then just driving out a little bit from the main towns and even going to sort of a nearby reserve or sort of just a place away from lights and looking up is usually a good start for stargazing. But we do have some more tips for you.
Yeah, so give us a few of those tips. So what are some of the best tips to get like the best and optimum stargazing experience?
So first up, you want to check the weather. You probably not going to get some great stargazing if it is going to be overcast, if it's going to be cloudy.
If it looks like on the video right now, you're not going to get some blue stars.
So check the weather and know that in New Zealand the weather is ever changing. So so sort of plan to spend more than one night stargazing. If you, for instance, if you're doing a road trip around New Zealand, you may want to consider camping a few times, or staying in a camper van or whatever you want to do, getting that outdoors experience. Plan a couple of times to do that, because the first night you try stargazing, even if you've seen that the weather is going to be clear, it could well change and not be the case. So you want to give yourself leeway and contingency days to do your stargazing. Next tip is to avoid white light. So yeah, white light can really affect the eyes when stargazing. So try to avoid looking at your phones, using torches with white light. But once you have used that white light, because you're probably going to need it to sort of get yourself set up, it usually takes around 20 minutes for your eyes to adjust after that. So bear that in mind. Don't get bored, angsty, like, oh, I want to look at my phone or whatever. Just try to avoid white light. You can use red light. So what a lot of stargazing tours do instead of using white lights to sort of, be able to move around and be able to see, is they have little red torches. So if you happen to have one of those, then that will be a lot better than using white light.
We have one in our car keys. We carry it all the time.
We do, and we actually got that from a stargazing tour
Yeah.
in New Zealand, and we actually do find it really useful to have that red light. We will move on to some more tips a bit later in the video. We do have some articles on NZ Pocket Guide to sort of guide you on some tips on the best, some stargazing tips, as well as the best time to see the Milky Way in New Zealand, as well as some sort of guides of what the star constellations are that you will see in New Zealand. Because remember that the stars that you tend to see in the southern hemisphere are different to what you will see in the northern hemisphere. There may be some constellations that you're not familiar with, so we do have guides across NZ Pocket Guide to help you with that, and the guide that you'll see linked in the description below. I was going to say the show notes. I've been listening to a lot of podcasts recently. In the show notes, what you'll see in there, that links to all these extra stargazing guides that we have on the website. So feel free to check those out.
So can you give us a little bit of a teaser of what you can see from a dark sky reserve in New Zealand?
Yeah, so obviously the big thing that you will see photos of everywhere is the Milky Way, or at least it's an arm of the Milky Way. So that's that sort of line of stars that you'll see across the sky. And also another thing that you will see is the, I don't know how you pronounce it, but Magellanic clouds.
This is Magellan, right? So Magellanic,
you will see both of those sort of star features, and you can see them all year round in New Zealand. You don't have to sort of plan a best time, but just as a quick sort of tip, usually it actually is in winter when you get the best stargazing, and that's because obviously the time of day, so you don't have to wait until 1 a.m. in the morning to get your darkest
That's
time.
crazy time.
Darkest time to see the stars. Winter's usually the best time. And finally, one thing that you may not know about stargazing in New Zealand is, well, it's not really to do with the stars, it's actually to do with the Earth's atmosphere, and that is the Aurora Australis, otherwise known as the Southern Lights. So you might have heard of the Northern Lights and, going to Norway and seeing all these beautiful green sort of amazing hues in the sky. Well, there's also that in the Southern Hemisphere, which you can view from New Zealand. Again, that's usually winter is the best time to see that. That's another sort of benefit of the dark skies in New Zealand.
Indeed. We're starting to get some big weather right here, some nice little waves right here on the boat. So hold on, if you're a little seasick, maybe just make sure to focus your eyes on the corner of the camera, on our talking faces. Because it is, I do remember that we were bouncing a bit in that little boat. That was kind of interesting. But we made it, guys. We're here, so we absolutely did make it. Oh, lost my first pen of the day.
Oh,
It's a
I
tradition.
don't think you need a pen, do you?
I do like to have a pen in my hand, you know it. Okay, so let's move on to some stargazing tours in New Zealand. So obviously for people which just want to experience the night skies of New Zealand but don't have the astronomy knowledge that will help them to identify things or even just the right tools in order to see some of the beautiful celestial bodies that the New Zealand night sky has to offer, well, jumping on a tour is a very easy way so you can access all the knowledge of your guide as well as all their tools and goodies. They're all set up, everything for you. They even take photos for you sometimes, which is really cool. So here's a quick rundown of what kind of tours you can experience in New Zealand that have to do with dark sky reserves and with their locations. Let's get started with Lake Tekapo, Laura.
Yeah, so perhaps most famously, perhaps most famously is a tour in Lake Tekapo called the Dark Sky Project. So they do both daytime and nighttime tours, but obviously the nighttime one is the obvious one to go for.
Of course.
So they take you up to the Mount John Observatory where they have those big dome telescopes. Obviously, the more powerful, the better. And yeah, they have all the appropriate equipment for a really good night's stargazing. They give you hot cocos to keep you warm.
For the hot cocoa, that's
nice warm woolly jackets, all that stuff. So you are well equipped to do some stargazing. So yeah, that's a great option. We do have a video on the channel of us doing it. However, they were called Earth and Sky back then. So.
Same company, though, same, very similar tool.
Yeah, so you can, if you search Stargazing NZ Pocket Guide on YouTube, you should be able to find our us doing the tour.
We were younger back in the days. Yeah. Don't judge us.
And then another tour worth considering is a much more affordable tour. It's more down to earth, and that's Chameleon Stargazing. They're
small groups as well.
Small group tour. And yeah, so if you don't have the budget for the Dark Sky Project one, then Chameleon Stargazing is an awesome alternative.
Let's move on to the township of Twizel, still on the South Island. Same dark sky area, actually.
Dark sky area. So if you're in Twizel, an alternative option is to go for Alpha Crux. So they have the laser pointers where they can show you the star constellations. You'll be within. Yeah. You'll be with an experienced guide, a really knowledgeable guide who can tell you about the different star constellations that you're seeing, and they sort of show you not just with your own eyes, but they do have powerful binoculars as well, just to enhance that sort of stargazing experience just a little bit, but not going overboard with the huge telescopes.
All right, so in the Mount Cook village itself, so Aoraki Mount Cook, what do we have?
So we have Big Sky Stargazing. So again, we do have a video on the channel of us doing this experience. So you'll probably still find it if you search Stargazing NZ Pocket Guide. Oh.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah, so we do have a video on the channel of us doing this experience. It starts off in the planetarium of the Sir Edmund Hillary Outdoor Centre. So you get a sort of indoor experience, and then they'll take you by bus just outside of Mount Cook Village to a really sort of isolated dark area where they do have some powerful telescopes set up, and they'll be pointing towards certain constellations, and sort of everyone gets a chance to have a look inside, see what's going on, and then your guides are telling you about the different constellations that you're seeing. So yeah, that's a really good tour as well.
All right, so we are currently on Stuart Island right here with the video, so let's talk about it. Is there any tools there for Dark Sky Reserve?
There certainly is. So we have Twinkle Dark Sky.
Oh, I do like that name.
Twinkle. So yeah, this is quite a cool tour. They have the telescopes, they have cozy camp chairs, so you can sit back and relax and do some stargazing with some really good equipment. You have really, passionate and enthusiastic guides telling you about the Dark Sky Reserve there and all the different star constellations that you'll be seeing. So just a good all-round option for stargazing anywhere in New Zealand, but especially on Stuart Island.
All right, so on the Great Barrier Island, so Aotea Great Barrier Island, is there any tours?
Yeah, so you've got two to choose from. There is the Social Nature Movement as well as Good Heavens. Again, this is more of a tour that's quite laid back, using laser pointers to sort of show the stars that you're looking at, using both, mostly using sort of the naked eye for stargazing rather than those big powerful telescopes. But it's a great option if you are lucky enough to make it out to Great Barrier Island, as it is one of the sort of less visited islands of New Zealand.
All right, and let's talk about the Wairarapa region. Is there any dark sky reserve tours there?
There is a very unique stargazing tour there, known as Stonehenge Aotearoa. So they have made sort of like this replica Stonehenge that is like the same sort of design as the one that you find in the UK. That's sort of like the setting of their stargazing, and then with that they sort of interweave sort of different cultures, how the Egyptians used stargazing, Babylonian, Indus Valley, Celtic, Polynesian and Maori star lore, all interwoven into their stargazing tours. So that's really a different take on stargazing, and is, well, the only dark sky reserve on the North Island. So if you're just exploring the North Island, then that is the place to go do it.
Yeah, because Great Barrier is a dark sky sanctuary, right?
Yes, and
Indeed.
that's sort of, a lot of people, basically, unfortunately, a lot of people just don't get the time or the time to make it over to Great Barrier Island, as it does require an extra flight to get there, or a full day's boat ride. So yeah, it's just usually not within the plans of most people traveling in New Zealand.
All right, so next up, we'll go over some frequently asked questions. The question that you guys usually send us about dark sky reserves in New Zealand, and we'll go over all of that together. Mark says, do they run that tour, Dark Sky, when the full moon is out? So yeah, that's a discussion that we were having with Mark during our Patreon call last week. So I haven't talked about Patreon during this whole video, and that is probably bad for business. But yeah, if you guys want to join us on Patreon, there's a link below. There's plenty of awesome perks, like Facebook group for the whole week. It's a lot of fun. We hang out there. It's secret. It's quite nice. But we also do group calls every week, which is a lot of fun when planning your trip to New Zealand. Anyway, do they still run tours when the full moon is out? Yes, they do. It is obviously not optimum conditions to be able to do stargazing when the full moon is out. It is very, very bright. But they still do run tours because, well, they do have access to some really big telescopes that can a little offset kind of what the moon is doing. It's obviously not the best condition, but they still will run the tours because also a lot of people want to do the tour and just don't have the flexibility on when they're going to be there, right? So they still do run it.
Actually, the video that you'll see on YouTube is when we were there during, it was almost full moon.
Yeah, it was like
the moon was so bright, and it was lighting up the entire area we were in. We didn't need torches or anything, but nevertheless we still had a really good tour with them, and we still got to see really amazing things through their telescopes, as Robin was saying. So
indeed.
Yeah, you can also check out the video if you want to get at least an idea of what the tour was entailing for Dark Sky Project, which again, that was called Earth and Sky back in the day.
We also have the Big Sky one, which is kind of like the one from the Mount Hillary as well, so we have two videos. Michael says that he thinks he's heard about the laser pointer and makes some jokes about Stonehenge, saying that I think once I went with my dad a few years ago. It's quite cool, to be honest. Yeah, it's just kind of fun that they just replicated something that's in New Zealand. I don't know, the train of thought, the idea of how this is what I'm going to be doing, it's just so odd to me. I love it. Okay, we have Rob Wilson. Fantastic name, my friend. He says, my wife did the Big Sky stargazing tour last July. I think the telescope were set up by the airport. Yep, yeah, that's where they do it. She said it was a great time as the night clear and the views were great. It was cold though. That's what Laura was complaining about. Yeah. But yes, that's a really cool tool. So we have a video of the channel of us doing it as well. It's kind of they're really hands-on kind of guides, so they kind of did both set up the tripods and everything, but they also actually kind of take people's camera and say, let me just do the settings for you, and they take you DSLR, they do the setting and say, take the photo like that, and then you take the photo. It's really awesome.
They did that for the Dark Sky.
They were doing it for other people as well, and they didn't do it for us because we were a little bit on the side.
Okay.
So yeah, both of them. So Dark Sky Reserve and Big Sky were doing it. So,
Oh, nice, yeah.
It's kind of really cool for them to help as much, because kind of often you just kind of point and you're like, yeah, that wasn't that great. And there's a few tips and tricks to know, which I think Laura has an article on the NZ Pocket Guide.
NZ Pocket Guide, yes.
She has an article on it about it, but yeah. It's a pretty cool. It's a pretty cool tool. Thank you for pitching in, Rob. I really appreciate it. Having like second-hand account is always good for us, because obviously we experience pretty much all the activities we talk about ourselves, but being able to hear from other people as well, so you get two opinions, is always really good for us to be able to know that.
Yeah.
And be able to kind of compile all that together to give people. So I really appreciate you. That's it.
Nice.
You're awesome, Rob. Nice. Cool. Well, we'll move on. I was just looking, did I miss anything? No, I didn't. It's so quiet today. I don't know why. I really thought the thumbnail for this video was a lot of fun. I really had a lot of fun making it with the AI thingies.
With the help of Mr. ChatGPT.
Yeah, I really had fun making that thumbnail, but it looked like people don't respond well to it. That's a bit sad. I really had fun doing that thumbnail. To be fair, it was the same thing with last week when we talked about the big cities as well. I really had fun making this felt Godzilla that I wanted to make in Auckland, right? I really thought that was funny. Nah, didn't really work so much.
Michael Stewart has a question saying, what country would you do instead of New Zealand? Well, Michael, we have actually
Done a lot of countries.
travel guides for other countries other than New Zealand, admittedly, all in the South Pacific, but let us begin.
Fiji, Samoa, Cook Islands, Tonga, Niue,
And that's it.
and that's it. Here
5.
you go. 5. That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That's a lot of them.
So we like to sort of we have really enjoyed this little nook of the world, and do have full guides on all those countries. So yeah, feel free to check them out. They're all the same name at the end. So our websites for each one was, for instance, nuepocketguide.com,
Fiji
Fiji
Pocket
Pocket Guide got
Very hard to find them.
Yeah, so, and you will see that we've done just a few videos on this channel about those destinations.
Oh, that just gave me an idea, actually. I'm just gonna talk to Michael for a second. I just need to send myself an idea.
He says Chile. I think that's what that says. I was here. I was most likely stimming why I didn't talk that much. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Done. Sorry about that. I just had an idea, Michael. You gave me an idea, so I just needed to write it down.
Nice. Yeah, Michael, have you got any? So you would go to Chile, or you would go to another country? What other country would you go to other than New Zealand?
Indeed. All right. So the video that we are playing is about to loop, I think. So I'm just gonna make sure that it does. Here you go. So we're not left with nothing. Good call, Robin. We made it back to Auburn. So yeah, as you can see, the very large town pier. Very, very huge. Actually, that's a side pier, but is that in Golden Bay on the other side? Yeah,
and
yeah.
you walk over a hill and you're in Auburn.
That's the same pier that you used to go to Ulva
Island,
yes.
yes.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so we made it to the place. So that's good. Here you go. All right.
Start again. We're starting from Freshwater Bay for
Indeed.
anyone that's interested on knowing which area we're in.
All right, Laura, I'm going to quick fire you a bunch of frequently asked questions about dark sky reserves in New Zealand. Because we do receive hundreds of questions about traveling in New Zealand, so we may as well talk about some now.
May as well.
Question 1. Where in New Zealand is the largest dark sky reserve?
The largest dark sky reserve in New Zealand is the Aoraki Mackenzie International Dark Sky Reserve, which is located in the Mackenzie Basin of the South Island, near towns of Twizel, Lake Tekapo, Mount Cook Village, etc. Yeah, great stargazing.
Can you see the Milky Way from New Zealand?
You certainly can, or at least what you're seeing is an arm of the Milky Way. You can see it from any one of the dark sky reserves. Usually the best time to see it is when the night is at its darkest, so usually around midnight.
And when it's not a full moon, as we were talking with Mark.
When it's not a full moon, when there's not clouds in the sky, and typically you get better conditions for seeing it in winter. We do have an article on nzpocketguide.com which goes over the best best time to see the Milky Way in New Zealand.
All right. So how can someone visit a dark sky reserve?
So it's pretty much as simple as going into that area. So you can
Staying up late.
staying up late. Visitors to the Aoraki Mackenzie Dark Sky Reserve can go to the towns of Lake Tekapo, Twizel, or Mount Cook Village, stay there overnight, and find themselves a nice secluded spot in the area to do some stargazing, look up and enjoy. In Stewart Island, you can also take a ferry or a flight to Stewart Island. You can also take what I would recommend, a flight more than a ferry over to Great Barrier Island to do stargazing as well. The whole islands there are dark sky sanctuaries.
Okay, so what's the best time of the year to visit a dark sky reserve?
Typically, it's...
Give them month. They want to know month.
Typically, it's during the Southern Hemisphere's winter months. On just a little bit on the outside of that. So May, June, July, August, September, they are all the best months to do stargazing in New Zealand. The nights are longer. The nights are longer. You will get sort of clearer views of like that Milky Way and other astronomical phenomena. That's lots of options there. A big time span for seeing some great stargazing.
All right, then can you share a few tips for first-time visitors in a night sky reserve?
Okay. First of all, if you want to have a look at the lunar calendar and plan your visit for the new moon. So the new moon is when you will have the darkest skies, as we were talking on the live chat before. If you're there during a full moon, usually the moon is brighter. That obscures a little bit your stargazing, so head for the new moon for the best stargazing. Next up, you want to dress warmly.
As Laura was complaining about early on.
Because you are staying up in quite late into the night when it's darkest, when it's coldest. Even in summer, it can be really chilly. Make sure that you do have plenty of layers on. If you are, especially in winter, you want those extras like gloves, beanie, scarf, all that stuff. Dress warmly. Next up, you'll want to bring a red light flashlight or torch. So, like I was saying earlier in the video, white light really obscures and hinders your eyes' ability to look at the stars. So, to see them in great detail, usually after you have seen after you've looked at white light, it will take about 20 minutes for your eyes to adjust. So just to get rid of all that sort of, because obviously you still may need a torch to be able to look around for things and stuff. So a red light is much better for the eyes and doesn't have that same effect compared to a white light.
And if you don't have one, a quick tip, is to find either red candy wrappers or even just your red jacket I was wearing on camera just a few minutes ago on that video, and we put our torch light in there and use that as our red light if we didn't pack one. So yeah, that's a quick tip for that. Okay, next up,
if you do have a pair of binoculars, great time to use them is stargazing, not just for watching wildlife. If you happen to have a telescope, I mean, at this point you probably know.
Is there such a thing as a portable telescope, like a travel telescope?
I imagine like the
spy glasses.
Yeah, the spy glasses and would that work? I don't know, but that to me feels like a travel telescope. But yeah, if you have a pair of binoculars, that is going to make it much better. But obviously this is more where the going on a guided tour is usually a lot more beneficial, because usually on guided tours they will have either telescopes or binoculars that are really powerful. So that's usually, if you want to enhance your stargazing to the next level and don't have the equipment yourself, it's best to go on a stargazing tour. And then finally, allow time for your eyes to adjust to the dark. So at first you might be like, oh, I feel like I can't see it as vividly as I thought I would, but it does take time for your eyes to adjust, usually about 20 to 30 minutes for your eyes to actually start seeing those details in the sky.
Indeed. All right, so that wraps up our coverage about dark sky reserves in New Zealand. There's an article linked in the description of this video with dozens of links that will send you to the right place to learn more about this or that, or even all the different tours and all that good stuff. If you want our help or personal help to plan your trip to New Zealand, you can join us on Patreon. Same thing in the description of the video. There is a link to our Patreon page with heaps of awesome tips, perks, including weekly phone calls. And don't forget to click all the buttons that YouTube wants you to click, such as like, subscribe, and all that stuff. It's how the algorithm works, and that's how maybe one day we'll get more than 100 views on a video. Who knows? In the meantime, you have an awesome week and have a fun time in New Zealand. Before we actually close in, let's just talk quickly to Michael. He says, by the way, for your next live stream, the celebs of New Zealand, can you put Rosie from Blackpink? She's from Auckland. I can write it down. I have no idea who she is, so I don't know. I mean, to be fair, this is going to be a funny one because Laura and I don't know a lot of those celebs we're going to be talking about, so that's going to be funny. But let me just put it on. Why not?
And I'm guessing it's pronounced Rose Air. Just by the way that he's put it in brackets.
Rose.
Rose.
I don't know. Rose from Blackpink. We'll see. I have no idea what that means. I'll have to do some research. Is Blackpink a TV show? A band? It sounds like a K-pop band, Blackpink. You know what I mean? As a name, right? That's. But I'm pretty sure I'm wrong because
we'll look into it and we'll soon find out who she is.
No idea what it is. The Blinks, Blackpink fans, we love you. Acknowledge her. Okay, they are Blinks. I'm from the generation when Blink something was another band that I ignore as well. What was this?
Blink 182.
Here you go. You see, that was another one. Yeah, that's a K-pop band. I was right.
Oh, cool.
I got really lucky on this one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take credit for being smart on this one. It was sheer pure luck. Yeah. I know nothing about bands or celebrities and everything, so I think that's...
Robin's a secret Blink, that's why he
I'm a blinker, Blinks.
That's why he knew it was a K-pop band.
Right. They did that famous song with Selena Gomez, Ice Cream, in 2020. Should I ask the question or not?
No.
Who's she? Who's that?
We know who Selena Gomez is. In terms of her music, no idea.
Yeah, okay, we do know that, for sure. All right, so I think it's gonna be a funny one. We'll focus on the list and saying what we researched about them and not anything else because we probably won't be able to expand as much. But we thought it was a funny subject, just something different. Just we wanted to have a bit of a giggle. Sometimes you see like the Dark Sky Reserve, we take it very seriously, which we enjoy. But sometimes it's just funny to have a good giggle and to
take a massive U-turn and talk about celebrities the next week. So, you never know what you're going to get with this channel.
Well, we always talk about New Zealand, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like New Zealand related, but beyond that, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
All right, everybody. You have all a fantastic week. In about 5 minutes, there is a Patreon call. So, yeah, if you want to join that, if you're on Patreon, well, I'll do that. And, yeah, any questions about traveling in New Zealand, put them in the comments. We can always go over the comments later on. Also, Cupcake is also from NZ. Who is that?
I love me some cupcakes.
Rob Wilson says, thanks for the show. Great as always. Thank you very much, Rob.
Yeah,
I invite you, Rob, to join next week and help us out. Same thing, Michael. He says she's a rapper with interesting lyrics. Okay, that makes me not want to Google that, but yeah. All right. Okay, everybody. Bye-bye. See you all next week with... I don't know what show about celebrities in New Zealand.
It's going to be great.
Bye-bye.